Hi, once again, this is Dick Clark welcoming you back to American Bandstand. This should be about part number 3 of music and fun and frolic and special guest stars leading off with Bobby Helms and Jack Willis.
One of the most important roles Dick Clark played in the history of music was just to be a guy that made it okay. Right? I mean, he looked like this safe, squeaky clean guy. He talked like this safe, squeaky clean guy. And who better to sort of be the face of rock and roll if the mission was to say, hey, parents, it's okay. You know, we're not going to corrupt your children. But then, by the way, slip on a song that was actually entirely deviant. That was Dick Clark's, I think, most important role, and ultimately his greatest legacy was just in kind of shepherding rock and roll from a time and place where it was very questionable whether it would have legs in the mainstream to obviously being sort of the dominant cultural power for decades to come.
I've known Robin for a long, long time, and a thought occurred to me this morning as I was getting ready to come in and hear the announcement made. Fine, Robin Williams, what'll happen when we get him on the air? Help!
Before Dick Clark really came on nationally, he and I were both having trouble. You know, parents were very afraid of rock and roll. They said, what is this thing? It's driving our kids crazy. It's driving us nuts. Don't listen to this. Dick Clark comes on with that lovely smile and that sparkling look and a look of hope that he gave all of us, this optimistic look, like the president recently said, by the way. We were accepted. We were accepted in people's houses. So I'll always remember Dick Clark for that.
Well, kind of fluid here. We're going to walk over and try to chat just for a second.
You know, Dick Clark is a wonderful person, and he gave us a lot of opportunities. You know, and the AMAs and the Dick Clark Presents for the New Year's, and he's, you know, I met him one time in Malibu, and my dad took me over to his house and stuff, and he's always, you know, been there for the Motown legacy and all the Dick Clark, you know, shows and stuff, and so he will be greatly missed, but he's deeply loved and his whole legacy, and he's amazing.
When you look at the coverage and you look at the articles, there's no question that American Bandstand and, by extension, Dick Clark played a huge role in selling records. You know, Dick Clark was shrewd. He would keep his eye on the Billboard charts, and as soon as an artist kind of started climbing, he was great at taking artists that were beginning to have success and beginning to have a following and then take them to the next level.
People like the Neil Diamonds and the Neil Sadakas and the Tony Orlandos and the Leslie Gores and the Benny Kings and people like that. So many people that he helped. I'll tell you, he helped so many people. It would fill a New York or a Los Angeles phone book with all the people he helped. That's how amazing it was. But everybody said the same thing. He was nurturing, he was kind, and he was very considerate of everybody.
One more with this truth.
I've been eating at the Boas for years. I liked them so much I started to invest in them. And so this is my fallback plan. If the radio doesn't work out or the TV, I love to cook. Actually, I wanted to be a chef. So this is kind of like my hobby fallback plan.
There's no question there are direct TV personalities today that owe their entire careers to Dick Clark. I think Ryan Seacrest would be one of the first guys to tell you that without a Dick Clark, there's no Ryan Seacrest. And part of the beauty here is Ryan learned from Dick that the real juice is not to be on the platforms. The real juice is to own the platforms, right?